So to anybody who knows Midwest style life, you cannot go on a road trip without first stopping by QT. Sheesh, we really out here. Yep, all the Midwesterners know. If you don't stop at QT first, it's not a road trip. And if you think it's a road trip, you're not doing it right. So, that's where we at. E-Bear's inside, probably getting some Kansas in. Shout out Zen. And then we will be on the way to Dallas for the One Piece Regional. $715 or $705. So Ethan and I had this whole thing planned out where he was gonna be set up in the room. Oh, we're still gonna do it apparently. Okay, he just slammed the door in my face. Now we'll.
Yo, what's good?
Hey, what's going on, man? Sheesh, not a bad little room. Turn on the light in here. Yeah, you gotta put the key in.
And it's gonna stay there.
And apparently it's gotta stay there. Sheesh. Not a bad little room. This shower doesn't have a wall. Very demure. Very demure. We got some Buffalo Wild Wings. I think UNLV just missed a field goal. Not a bad little room. Not a bad little room. View? Mid as hell. But here we have the vendors. I think there's 3. A lot of people getting cards, getting sleeves. Classic card game event. Here's another set of vendors. And then this is where it kind of opens up. This is, I imagine, the playing area. And then all these places here. It actually goes pretty far back. I don't know what this little area over here is for. But there's some food. Classic $40 pretzel if you're hungry. There's people, there's where you get registered. I don't know what's going on over here.
It's like top tables?
I have no idea. Let's go figure it out. Got. Oh, this is a bunch of OPOH stuff. Cool wall.
Need that.
Yeah, E-Bear needs Rayleighs. There's the secret, the parallel, and then the manga. Yeah. It's interesting because, like, I'm pretty sure the general consensus on this set is that it sucked, but it did have some heat. So this is apparently you guys are the very start. Yeah. You guys are the very front of the wait list line. We're gonna show you guys how far this goes back. Come with me. This is apparently all waitlisters.
Question.
Look how far this goes back. Look at all these people.
I know you're not grabbing cards now.
Oh, it's gonna wrap around the wall too. Sheesh. All waitlist. I don't know what this section is. A little like side thing? I have no idea. Just more. All waitlist, all the way back here. That's so insane. I can't imagine coming to one of these things and not being guaranteed to play. These guys are psychos.
The love of the game, Brett.
Yeah, waitlist starts at 7th, so they've been here since 7:30. I gotta imagine, which is wild, man, wild. And I don't know if it's first come first serve or if it's somebody told me it might be a lottery. I have no idea, but it's a crazy thing to go to a card game event and not be able to play. Coming from Yugioh, where they don't really have a cap in terms of like their big events, their YCSs. I played almost 3,000 person YCSs. It's just insane. There he is. Man who best manga, best anime, now he wants the best card game. What a tyrant.
All right, Glizzy Gang. As a heads up, Jay is starting round 1. And so I was going to take us on a Rayleigh adventure to find Rayleigh. But turns out I already got 4 beforehand. Oh yeah. Look at all that. So, instead we're going to wait and see how Jay does in round 1. Until next time, Glizzy Gang.
One more quick thing, One Piece. Why are these in the middle of the tables where we're gonna be playing? Just got back from the regional and it was pouring rain and I decided I'd take one for the team and go get the car and bring it around to Ethan, then vice versa. So I got drenched, I got really cold. I got home, got back to the hotel, tried to dry off, take a shower. Now it looks like our food is here. Sheesh! That's dope. So now we're gonna eat some food. At Georgia and Texas are going to overtime, which is kind of cool. Horns down till the day I die. Anybody who knows me already knows that. And then I think at some point I'm gonna do a recap on the event as a whole and go round by round into what was going on. What up, Glizzy Gang? It's Jay. Got back from the regional a couple hours ago, maybe 2 or 3 hours ago. And right now I'm actually just checking for lighting. But I want to say the One Piece regional was really, really fun. And I actually enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I was kind of nervous. I played a lot on the simulator for like the last 4 or 5 months. And it was the first time I'd ever played the cards in person with my deck, my donning up, drawing for turn, doing all that stuff. And I didn't have any problems with that, but I've played a more complicated game for an even longer amount of time. That wasn't my concern, but mostly I only had like one bad experience with a player, and you know, there's always going to be one guy. Don't let it bother you. And yeah, in general, I think it was really fun. I really enjoy the game a lot, and I'm really excited to play in OP.9, and I'm excited to go to more events. Okay, so now I'm back, and I'm ready to discuss Dallas as a whole. So, as a whole, awesome event. Love the game. First time ever playing the game physically. I played on the simulator for a couple months, maybe 4 or 5 months, learning only one deck. I only know how to play one deck. It's Black Yellow Luffy was my deck. And so I understood the format. I'm able to, you know, from my experience with other card games, I can analyze and look at what decks are doing the best and what techs are people playing and for what matchups are they there for. So let's get started. So I enter the event, and I'm sure you guys don't want to see my deck list. I'm not going to show it to you because it obviously wasn't that good, but it was pretty standard for Black Yellow Luffy. And so round 1, I play against Doflamingo, which is a matchup that I have a lot of practice in, and I also understood that it was going to be really popular because I think right now it's the most represented deck in the top, and probably you could say it's the best deck, but I don't know. I understood it was going to be popular. And in my match against Dofi, things were going okay. We were going back and forth. He would get kind of a wide board. I would use the 5-cost Rocket Luffy to pop some of the big guys, swing, play kids, play out of my hand to stop getting puddinged. And there came a really critical point in that match where I had a Sabo up, a blocker Sabo, and the starter deck Luffy, the one that you take a life and draw a card and take a life technically. And I had a Gecko Moria in hand, and I was going to be able to, on my next turn, go to Luffy effect, go to 0 life, and then do the Gecko play where you play a Kuzan out of your life with a baby Sabo, and then put any 5-drop that's not the blocker Sabo and the blocker Sabo on top. So you end your turn with Gecko, Kuzan, Sabo, a draw from Kuzan, 2 draws from Sabo, and then you have a card left in life. So you're 7k leader, but you have a blocker and a life. So you're playing around Perfume Femur that way. But what ended up happening is while I had this play set up, I didn't have another way to go to 0 life on my upcoming turn. And my opponent is on 10 Dawn, their first 10 Dawn turn. And what ends up happening is he goes... What ends up happening is he plays 9-drop Sanji into Mihawk off the top and outs my Awaken Luffy. Awaken is going to be the term that I use to deck Luffy on the bottom of my deck. So now when he passes to me, I don't have a way to go to 0 life. I have no Hioris, I have no Flampeys, I don't have an attacker Luffy. And so that pretty much sealed my fate. I kind of fought out of it a little bit, but then he ends up dropping 10-drop Kaido, and I think I was just too far behind, and I ended up losing that one. And my opponent was cool. I got puddinged relatively early, so it actually wasn't that bad the time I got puddinged. And that about sums up that match the best. While I don't think Dofi is necessarily a bad matchup for my deck. I just think maybe it's like a 50-50. Okay, Glizzy Gang. So I just recapped round 1. Now I'll move on to round 2. Round 2, there's not that much to say. I played against a black smoker deck, and I knew going into this event that I wanted to play against as many black decks as possible, aside from maybe the mirror match. Because the mirror match to me feels a little weird, and maybe that's something that I'll get better with it with experience. But I just knew I had a really good Rob Lucci matchup, Smoker, Gecko Moria if people are playing it, just any black deck in general. I would have a good advantage against because that's just what my deck beats. My deck beats black decks. And so, for the most part, I'm in complete control the whole time. There's really not that much to say. I had a good starting hand, and I ended up beating the black smoker player pretty convincingly. I mean, you can only do so much about, you play the first Luffy Sabo rotation, and then for the rest of the time you're playing Gecko, and the Sabo, everything is KO immune. They can do the play where they can try and trash the Sabo with Tashigi, the 5-drop Tashigi. And other than that, there's not really that much they can do against you. Yeah, really not a lot to say. It was pretty controlled. Which leads me into my round 3, which is against Enel. And Enel is a tricky matchup. I don't know if it's bad or good, but it's one of those matchups where it might just be 50-50. And we're playing. I feel I have a good start. He's doing the classic Enel thing. I'm trying to establish a board while knocking him to 1 life and then leaving him at 1 life until I'm ready to kill him. And, back and forth. I'm able to get the Awaken Luffy on the board. And after that, I get to the point to where I'm doing like a kid rotation. But one of the things that I think my deck struggles is once they get, a Yamato and 2 rush aces out, it can be tough for my deck to deal with. It's a 10k swing, a 10k swing, and a 9k swing every turn with 10 Dawn up once they're established. And I have blockers, and my leader is at 9,000, so I have cards in hand to pitch to live. But there comes a point in that matchup where I feel like you have to make this jump from doing double kid every play to focusing on outing their things that they attacked you with. Keep in mind, Enel usually keeps a rather large hand size from my experience. And you have to decide to dawn up some of your bigger guys, kill their rush acers and their Yamatos, and then just put 2 life. You put 2 dawn on your leader and go to 2 life. And, force them to get through the lives and kill you. I feel like might almost be this point to where you have to go, now I'm the deck who's going to just stay alive, and I'm going to slowly pick away at your board. Versus at the beginning where they don't put anything on board. They might Flampe or play a Shirahoshi, the little 2-drop blocker. I'm going to try and put all the cards on screen that I'm referring to. I feel like that would be really, really good so that people could read them and understand the card I'm talking about. If not, it's going to be tough to follow. So what ends up happening is I end up losing to the Enel. And that was a tough loss, but there's nothing I can do. I could have definitely played better, I know that, but I made my lines of play, and while I don't think they were bad, they weren't the best, and I needed better options there. But now we get into kind of the part of the event that happens at every card game event. Not necessarily for me, but you'll find a story at every card game event you go to where somebody plays against a guy and the guy is just, he's just not it. And what I mean by that is he's the type of guy, I'll just explain what happens. You know, I'm not going to do all this jumping around stuff. So in round 4, I play against the Mirror. And it starts off, everything's fine. You know, we're playing back and forth, Kuzan, you know, blah, 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 blah. And we get to the point to where he gets down and he's ready to play his leader effect. He's at no life, he's ready to use his leader effect. And he puts his Luffy, he picks up 2 cards out of his life, and he sits them down. And the Luffy is on the bottom, and the Sabo is on the top. But they're kind of angled. And then he's shuffling his cards in his hand, and he's checking how much Don he has up, and then he looks at his life, and he tries to reach over and flip them around. He tries to put the Sabo on the bottom and the Luffy on the top. To which I don't even say anything, I just reach back over and I flip his cards around. And I said, you can't switch your life cards once you lay them down. This is just a blatant rule of the game. I said, hey, you can't change your life cards once you sit them down. And he looks at me and he says, well, I didn't declare the order I was putting my life cards in. To which I responded, I don't care. You put the cards down. There's nothing more to do. Once you put cards down in your life, they are set down. And this kind of thing can probably be kind of intimidating for most people. Unfortunately and fortunately, I played Yugioh for 8 years, and Yugioh has sharks. And in Yugioh, when the game is that complex and that there's so many different things that can happen in Yugioh, and with one card, everything has to be picture perfect. And if it's not, and your opponent stops you, like you will get punished for misplaying. And this guy put down his life in the wrong order. And then he tried to switch it after like a minute or two, and I told him, no, like, you're not switching your life. He goes, and he said, I didn't declare it, and I said, I don't care. You're not switching your life. Then we go back and forth, doing the classic, I'm at 9K, now you're at 9K, now I'm at 9K, now you're at 9K. And eventually gets to the point to where I go, Luffy effect, or to go to 8K on the Luffy that takes 1 out of life, and draws 1, and then gains 2K. And I go, 8K at your lead. And he goes, thinking. And then he goes, okay. And he picks up his blocker and he puts it in the trash. And then he goes, actually, and goes and picks up the Sabo, his blocker Sabo, and puts it back on the board. And I look at him and I go, you already put that card in the trash? You've made your decision to block. And he goes, well, I didn't declare block. And I go, okay, well, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to call a judge, and I'm going to tell him the truth that you picked up your blocker Sabo and put it in the trash. And he goes, you know, whatever, man. You clearly are. I don't know. He had some choice words for me, which whatever. I don't care. Nothing he's gonna say is gonna bother me. We end up playing. I end up winning. We go into the first overtime. We get to like the end, and he's scrambling, and I have more cards in hand. I have a better board. I know I've won. And the judge comes over and he's like, hey, you guys are in overtime, this, that. And I go, it's okay, I just won. And the judge is right in front of us. And I go, I didn't want to knuckle tap him, but the judge is right there. And I go, hey, man, good games, like this. And he's like looking at his cards like this, getting his cards ready. And he looks up at me and he goes, no, man, like, fuck you, you're on some bullshit. To which I look at the judge, I look back at him, and I say, well, you suck at the game. So, and I shouldn't have said anything. That's toxic of me, bad winner, whatever. But that was the one negative experience as a whole that a card game player is going to have a negative experience with another player at every event. It's just going to happen. I was hoping that it wouldn't happen at my first event, and I really hope it's not a me thing. And I don't think it is. Like, it's one thing to let your opponent take back plays, but it's another thing to not let them take back plays. Like, there's nothing in the rules that says I have to let you. And it does say in the rules that once you put your cards down, or you commit to actions, or declare actions, or you pick up your blocker and set it in the trash, like those are final. But he lost, so who cares? I ended up getting the win. But it was like the one negative experience of the weekend. On to we're on round 5. And in round 5, I played What did I play? Oh, in round 5, I played a red-green chopper deck. Now, I was a little nervous for this matchup, and the reason was because I didn't know what a single card in his deck did, or his leader. But, and I know what you guys are going to say, like, Jay, why are you going to sit here and talk about this matchup? Like, that deck's not meta, you should always beat it. Like, why are you going to sit here and talk to us about it? Fair enough, I won't talk about it that long. And I will say I did win. But just know, at one point in that game, he's got 2 of the 10-drop green Doflamingos that freeze things. And then I was able to out 1, and he's like on really low cards, but he's got like 2 lives up. But I have like a Kuzan, a Gecko, a Sabo. I have a card in life. Okay, so fun fact about me is I despise Perfume Femur and Diablo Jambe. And for those of you who don't know what Diablo Jambe is, I think it's like the Perfume Femur version of like red. It's like the red version of Perfume Femur. And I figured he's probably because his deck's kind of aggressive. He goes wide with small guys and then buffs them up with his leader and then swings. And the leader's a Straw Hat, and there's Straw Hat characters in it. So this whole time, towards the end of the game, I'm playing around this card called Diablo Jambe. Turns out, spoiler alert, he doesn't play it, because I asked him if he did. He said straight up, no, I don't play that card. I said, fair enough, do you? But the card he ends up playing is a card I'd never seen before in my life. It's this green card. I think it's called Noah's Ark. And it rested my entire board. My Sabos, everything. And he tries to kill me, but I'm at 9k, and I'm able to counter out. And he passes on like 1 life, and I'm sitting there refreshing a Kuzan, a Gecko, my leader. And I won. But there's some crazy cards in this game. Cards that I didn't know about. And I knew that this was going to be a possibility because at the end of the day, I can play as much as I want online, right? But I'm not going to experience every card in the game. The game's only been out for, what, not even 2 years yet? Coming up on their 2-year anniversary. And so, yes, I beat the red-green chopper deck. And kudos to that guy for playing red-green chopper. You know, I'll always respect somebody who plays the leaders they like, cards they like, decks they like, whatever. And then after that, going into round 6, I play against the matchup that I was kind of scared of, but I didn't think there's a chance it might not be there. And that deck was purple, yellow, pudding. And there's really not that much scary about that matchup, but there's this, I think it's a 9-drop or a 10-drop Big Mom that stacks a card into my life. And for people who don't know, my leader needs to be at 0 life to do my effect. So that card is a card that like causes me problems when I play against other purple cards. And then yellow, yellow can always just be like triggers and searchers and all that stuff. And we're playing, going a little bit back and forth, He's ramping with his Charlotte Pudding leader. That leader, I think, is kind of good. I don't know if it's meta in OP09. I don't know if it's meta in OP10. I don't know if it was meta in OP08.5, the meta we were in. But that leader is good. And he gets the 10 Dawn, and I think I'm on 8. And he's just 10 Dawn. But, the game's going fine. Nothing noticeable. And he gets to the point to where he goes the 10 Dawn, and he goes, I'll tap 10 for this Big Mom and Kaido card. And I read it, and I read this card's effect, and I'm sitting there going, I'm literally like, oh no. Like the Ralph meme, I'm in danger. Yeah. And I was in danger. Because my life wasn't, I'm thinking I might have been at 2 life, and I didn't have a Sabo. So I end up doing this play, which, I don't know, I think at the time I thought it was a good play because, one, I needed certain cards to get ready for my turn, or not for my turn, for like when I go down to 0 life. I was ready to go to 0 life, but I wasn't ready to do the kid combo. And by the kid combo, I mean the one where you have a baby Luffy and a baby Sabo, or 2 baby Sabos, and you play you put down one of the Sabos on the bottom and one of the Luffys on the top of your life, and you play the Luffy, and then you play the Sabo, and everything's KO immune. That should be pretty apparent. For those of you who don't know, that's what my deck does. For those of you who do know, you're like, blah, 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 blah. And he ends up resolving this. I play 9 for Gecko Moria, and I get a Kuzan and a Garb. So I get my draw 5, and then I put them all on bottom, and then I draw 1. And I got what I needed, but he attacks me on the following turn. Because keep in mind, after he uses... Oh, well, what ends up happening, he goes into lead with that thing. I'm at 2 life. I take it, and he outs my entire board. Minusing 10 Dawn, though. So at this point, it was like... At that point, it was weird. Like, I knew I was going to win, because even though he had this 13k monster up, and after that, I realized he was only going to be going 2 Dawn apiece, maybe leader effect at some point, going back up, and I was going to be staying at 10 Dawn for the rest of the game. So after that, on the following turn, I do the Flampe draw, do the kids, play geckos, and time goes on. And then I ended up winning that match, and I was able, at the end, it got kind of close again, but I was able to counter out of one of the big Kaido Big Mom swings again. And at that point, I won that match. Which leads me into round 7, and this is the match where I got my 3rd loss. And if somebody would have asked me what deck I didn't want to play against as a black-yellow player, I don't know if this is necessarily like a common thing, but I know that one of my bad matchups, for sure, is Jewelry Bonnie. And that's what I sat across in round 7. And while I don't want to make excuses, I was pretty tired, pretty hungry. And I was like, man, I really don't like this matchup. But I know I can win it. I've won it online. And I know I can win. And it's going okay, but like I feel like he just had the nuts. Like he'd baby search, baby 5 search. I'd swing into it and out it, and he would get a baby and a Bonnie search, and I'd out one, something gets arrested. And it was just a really uphill battle, and I was kind of checked out. Not by the game, but just like from being tired, and it's all like, man, I lost pretty convincingly. He sets up the 8-drop key, and I'm able to out it with a Kuzan swing into like a Rocket Luffy, pop the Rosa Dante into like another Luffy, out the kid, and get a swing in, have the Sabo up, and it was looking okay, but in the end, it just didn't go my way. And that's okay. I think that is a bad matchup. Somebody could probably correct me and say that's a good matchup for Black Yellow Luffy. I'd be surprised if it is, but I don't like that leader. Resting my guy is like, stop. Please? Nope. And there were a couple, but those were my matchups. I plan on shooting a in conclusion video, and I hope you guys are enjoying me talking about the game. I'm probably going to have to make sure that I put up the cards I'm talking about, because for the most part it is just me sitting here talking about my event. But, okay, Glizzy Gang. Last part of this video, just want to say I've been in the editing bay, and by editing bay I mean in this chair, for good 4 or 5 hours. And I realized I forgot to film my in conclusion video. And I kind of realize now I don't really need one. This will basically be the in conclusion video. So what I want to say is, as somebody who jumped headfirst into a brand new card game with new rules, new gameplay, I had a great time. I hardly had any bad experiences with any of the players, and I'm really looking forward to hopefully diving down deeper into One Piece and getting better. That's the end all be all goal. That enjoy myself. That's the number one goal I've set for myself in this new game. Towards the back half of Yu-Gi-Oh, it was in my opinion that the game was getting worse and worse, and I enjoyed myself less and less. So in this game, I want to make sure that no matter what I'm doing, I'm enjoying myself. We're only on this planet for so long, we need to enjoy the time we have. So, in conclusion, thank you to the One Piece community. Almost all of you were awesome. I got some trades done. I met new people. I got people who were talking about OP09. I'm so excited for OP09. I don't know what leader I'm going to play, but I'll find something to play. And I just want to say that I think that it was scary to go to a One Piece regional without ever playing the physical card game before. And maybe if I hadn't played Yu-Gi-Oh for so long, I wouldn't have done that. I spoke multiple times about how much work I put into the simulator work. I just played on the simulator when I got bored. But it was really scary at the beginning, but I didn't have any problems. I was fine. I went X3 through 7 rounds, so not the best result, but like I said, this time I'm going to try and put a lot more emphasis into enjoying the game than doing well, and I think the more I enjoy the game, the more success I'm probably going to have. Of course, I am going to practice more. I'm going to play more. I'm gonna enter locals. I'm going to look around for events to play in, talk to my friends about the game. I've got new friends that are coming into the game. eBear is going to be playing the game soon, I think. My friend Mike is going to be playing the game. And I'm just really happy right now that I was able to enter a new game, have fun, and enjoy myself. So that's the overall theme I want to put out there, is that even if you go X3 and you don't make day 2 or the top cut, or you don't get special prizing, the most important thing I want everyone to take away is to enjoy themselves. So before I start going on and on and on about all this other stuff, I just want you guys to know that I'm grateful to anybody who watches this video. I'm going to be doing a Q&A at 100 subs. So when I get 100 subs on YouTube, I'll make a Q&A. I don't know how the community tab works. I think if I post in the community tab, the people who are subscribed see it. So I'll be doing a Q&A at 100 subs, and I'll be filming a lot more content at my locals, which is Rated E Cards and Collectibles, playing there. And let me know if you guys want more gameplay footage, IRL, if you want footage of simulator gameplay, which I can get on OBS and play on the sim whenever. Just let me know what you guys want in the comments, and hopefully if a single person enjoyed this video, it's a success. So without further ado, Glizzy Gang, stay tuned, because I think there's going to be a lot more coming, and I'm really excited for the future. So stay gold.